Hey everybody, so the universe is conspiring against us this week and we couldn't do a proper round table. So what I'm doing instead is going around to everybody in the office and asking them what they think of what's going on this week while they're trying to work.
Okay, first up, Lacey and Petro. We're talking about the DC Warner Brothers schedule that was leaked this week.
Yeah.
Starting from May 16th going through May 18th. That's 2 years. They're going to do 7 DC movies, if these dates are indeed accurate.
It seems implausible.
It seems
like
crazy,
a
right?
lot of movies that they should be currently shooting as we speak.
They need to start right away. So we know
Isn't that
about...
faster pace than like Marvel?
Marvel's
does
been doing like 2 a year.
Yeah.
And this is what? Like
3.5 a year.
5?
7.
Yeah.
So in May 16th, we got Batman vs. Superman, which we know about.
Yeah, they're shooting
July
right now.
16, Shazam.
Shazam.
You know, they've been talking about Shazam for a long time.
Yeah.
And they
The
always
Rock.
talk about The Rock. Yeah.
Exactly.
But, you know, who knows? They'll probably get,
I
like,
saw that maybe like The Rock was going to play the villain.
a Black Adam was
Yeah.
another one. Well, it's kind of both. You know, who knows?
He's done cryptic tweets about both possibilities.
Shazam can be like, you know, any Adonis-looking guy, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
And then it's the kid that really.
You said Adonis, right?
Adonis.
Adonis.
Yeah, Adonis.
Is the Greek pronunciation.
Sure.
Sorry.
So moving on to Christmas of 2016, and we got Sandman,
Yeah.
which we know is the Joseph Gordon-Levitt deal.
Yeah, they already made deals with that, and
Right.
you know we know he's directing, and I think David Goyer's writing.
Like, I don't even know how they're going to make that into a movie. Like,
Yeah.
that seems like it's something more for, like, an HBO miniseries.
They're gonna give Joseph
Yeah.
Gordon-Levitt a bunch of money, and
Right, I
the
mean,
movie comes out.
it's kind of, like, structured similar to, like, Sin City and stuff, so in that regard, you can do, like, half of it in a movie.
Yeah.
And, like, it'll just be a bunch of vignettes of these little tiny stories.
It does certainly seem like the outlier of the group,
Yeah.
because the rest of them make sense.
So it'll be an art film that they just do for...
which is the only reason that Gordon-Levitt would be interested in doing something like that, I think, theoretically, anyway, from what I understand. May 17, we got the Justice League movie. We knew about that.
Yes. We know Cyborg's gonna be in Batman vs Superman. We know Wonder Woman, and of course Batman and Superman.
Right.
So
so Wonder Woman, like you said, is July of 17, which is
That's great.
super close.
That's great.
In 2017.
That
so
I'm
that's gonna
super
be cool.
psyched
I just
about.
really hope that Gal Gadot can do it.
she'll be great. She'll be awesome.
She'll be fine?
I mean,
Yeah,
she'll at
yeah.
least pull off the character. I
Yeah.
mean, like, body physicality-wise, yeah, she's a bit on the thin side for
Well, that's not
Wonder
even what I'm
Woman.
worried about.
But, like...
Camera adds 10
acting-wise,
pounds,
like,
bro. It's okay.
Well, not on her. It apparently, like, makes her negative 10 pounds.
Yeah.
But acting-wise, I mean, she's great.
awesome.
Is
So, yeah, I mean,
think she'll
she's
be
got
really
a
good.
thick accent, but
What
that
was she-
kind of
what was
helps
she-
with the Wonder Woman character.
What was she great in?
I think that
I mean, I thought she was good in those Fast and Furious movies, honestly.
Get out of here.
But, like, she was good, though.
she was no
herself-
worse than
She was
anybody
on
else.
Marvel.
Good.
Well, yeah, she
She's
was
like
no worse than anybody
Right,
else in the
but-
Fast and Furious
but-
movies, which is not a ringing endorsement.
But those are all conventional superhero types for the most part. I mean, we got lucky. We got lucky with Christian.
about 501 Days of Summer, right? We're not talking about a sequel to an art film. We're not talking like about an indie or even a character-based movie. It's not a character-based movie. Yes, it's Wonder Woman, and it's about Wonder Woman, but it's more going to be about Wonder Woman punching through buildings.
Sure, but
it's about
that's-
like how well can she convince me that she just punched a guy through a building?
Right, but wasn't that everybody's big beef with Man of Steel? Is that all? That's all it was.
Right,
Is
that's
it
all
was
it is.
punching
That's
down
all it's gonna
buildings?
be.
Like,
Well,
because
yeah.
that's the most successful of all of these.
What are you going to do? What story?
The
are
most
you gonna
successful
tell?
of all of these superhero movies are the ones that have interesting characters. Literally, Marvel's entire success is built off of how good
Well-
Robert Downey Jr. was in the first Iron Man movie.
Right.
It's true.
But-
So
but
you can't say that these superhero movies are just about punching through buildings. Like, she's got to be good.
So
She's got to be interesting.
Iron Man, he punched through a lot of buildings. I mean, I would say he punched through about 5 in that first one. Right, then it ramped up to about 20 in
Was
the second
that
one.
why Iron Man was successful? Because Iron Man punched
it
through
is
buildings?
actually because that translates globally to a global audience. Like it does. They don't give
got to
a
a point there.
they don't give a shit.
Seemed really
Like,
weird.
most of the viewers don't give a shit how good of an actor Robert Downey is. That just means that
disagree
it
with that.
tags on
100%.
to American audiences
let me-
who do.
I
Let me
100%
say-
disagree, but since we're in a hurry,
Can I just say one thing real
Yeah.
quick? Okay, Thor is the character's a lot like Wonder Woman, and I think they made the Thor movies work by having other interesting characters around him. So I think that's how Wonder Woman's going to work. It's going to be a lot like Thor. It's going to be this warrior from a different place, you know, kind of dealing with this place, this world, and how it is.
But Hemsworth is like super charming in these movies. Hemsworth is super charming and charismatic, and that's what I just don't think. I hope to be wrong, but I just don't think Gal Gadot is very good.
we'll see.
You can't judge. It's hard.
Oh,
to
we
judge
will see.
It's hard to judge one person on one semi-minor role from a
No, I know.
giant action franchise.
I know.
mean, she hasn't really
But
gotten a chance
since
to
that's
do a
all
lot.
we have. That's all we can bring into it. That's all we can bring.
But
into
you
it.
also can't
She's
make
not
the
very good in
judgment
that
of
movie.
she's not very good because you've only seen one role that's very
Sure.
minor. I mean, it's if you've only seen Henry Cavill in Man of Steel, then you might not think he's a good actor. You might not have seen him in The Tudors or in other things. So it works both ways. You can't say they're going to be great or they're going to suck if it's only one role that's very minor in a major franchise.
Only in,
But again,
Daredevil.
But he's got a major amount of work though.
yeah,
under his
Gal Gadot
belt.
doesn't have a ton of work.
But that's good
Not
because
yet.
that way, like you won't bring that into the character.
Right.
She can be Wonder Woman. It's not like
Well, the
Matt
point
Damon.
that I'm
where
making,
like,
though,
oh,
is,
it's
like-
Goodwill playing Aquaman.
The counterpoint to what you were saying about like we can't judge somebody based on like one performance. It's like, well, that's literally all we have
Right.
to judge her on.
Yeah.
So we had no choice but to judge her on that. And
I'm just saying you
she
can't make
wasn't good. She was flat and uninteresting. Like every other performance in I'll agree with you. The Fast and Furious movies are just about cars.
I mean-
driving
Those are the
through
ki-
planes and exploding.
She convinced me that she could jump off the back of a car and shoot a guy in the head.
Okay, whatever.
Like,
so
that's
on
all
top
we're
of Wonder
needing.
Woman, who may or may not be an interesting character of some type, Christmas 2017, Green Lantern and the Flash teaming up.
Yeah.
So they'll
Totally
be part of the
down with
Justice
that,
League too.
yeah.
We would understand.
That's
right?
very
Two smarmy
exciting.
bastards
It's a good idea.
teaming up on some interstellar
And there's a
cop.
little bit of history. There,
Yep.
we were just looking up.
Yeah, the Green Lantern and Flash, they have done a few series together. Also, Green Lantern with Green Arrow was a big part of comics in the 70s. So I think Green Lantern is a good character. Those are both good characters to have together because neither one together are super interesting. That being said, of course, there's like the Flash TV show. But I think for a big movie, it's probably a good idea to have them team
They're
up.
gonna
Right.
get it
And
different.
the Flash always worked better as that, sort of smarmy sidekick
Yes.
in the back that
Yeah.
ends up being super helpful because
Well,
Yeah,
people
you
forget
like
he's
you
really
like him.
smart.
You like him to be the
Right.
smart ass.
Yeah,
of the group.
And
Yeah.
people forget he's the brain, and Hal Jordan is more of the crazy, brawn type character.
Or I mean, it could be Jon Stewart though, which
Could
could
be
be
Jon
another
Stewart.
opportunity to
Yep.
get Rock in here.
yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
Which is another one that there's been some rumors.
Yeah,
about
I
Jon
mean,
Stewart.
they
you
really
know,
want The Rock, don't they?
I really want The Rock.
really?
Do you not?
As Jon Stewart?
Why not?
I mean, well, first off, I'd like it to be an African American since Jon Stewart's a really popular African American character.
Sure.
So I'd rather someone like Idris Elba or somebody like Chiwetel Ejiofor or someone like John Boyega.
Okay.
But
No, I'd be fine with any of them.
no.
I just really like The Rock.
He's good. It's just he's kind of
I'd rather him be Shazam.
he is
frankly.
The Rock when
if
he's
you-
The Rock. You
Yes,
know, it's
I
like
agree.
If you
Yeah.
don't have a problem with Gal Gadot tricking you into
Well,
punching through walls and that's all a
but
superhero needs to
this
be,
is the
how
pro-
can you possibly have a problem with the Rock?
The Rock being Green Lantern.
Yeah.
though, that's the thing. It's like
Okay,
Green
well, May
Lantern
18,
is
there's
not
Man of Steel 2
a.
sequel.
He's not
That's what they're-
he's not a monster of a man, you know. And like The Rock is a monster of a man. This guy's huge, right?
Yeah.
Right, but Green Lantern is not. Like that's where like
That's
the
the whole
physicality.
I mean, they're all.
That's where the physicality actually because it's a comic book. It's more about the imagery than
right. So
the
why
performance.
wouldn't you want a literal Hulk?
Well, but the Green Lantern's not. The Green
I think you're
Lantern's
right,
a pilot.
Is The Rock is
You
always
know?
The Rock in everything. He's practically like one step like beyond what he did in the wrestling ring, which is
Right.
fine because we all love that and he's
Yeah.
great. But he's sort of like there's a lot more you could do with Jon Stewart, I think, than just what The Rock normally does.
There's an
I just-
opportunity there that swinging on The Rock, like The Rock is.
But there's
Dude,
not
you-
with Wonder Woman?
No.
No, not really.
Yeah, I'm out of here. We're done.
Okay.
What are we talking about?
What happened this week? What do you want to talk
I
about?
don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You work at
No,
Cinefix.
this
You're
is
supposed to
so
stay on top
mean.
of stuff.
I'm in the middle of 100 things.
Did you go see? You went and saw
22 Jump Street?
22 Jump Street. No, what was the other one? Because Cruz already
No,
talked
I
about it.
didn't
You went to
see
see
it.
How You Train Your Dragon.
I didn't get to the
You
screening.
didn't? Oh no! I heard it's so good.
I know. I'm going to see it on Saturday. I have another screening.
Okay.
It's going to be great. 22 Jump Street. Amazing. Like, giggled like a little girl. Like, awesome.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Okay. Well, never mind.
Okay.
So, theoretically, there are rumors that maybe there might be a Star Trek series on Netflix.
Yes, there were several highly qualified and virtually contentless pieces going around the internet this week that Netflix might be in talks, probably due to offhanded remarks made at Phoenix Comic Con
by a writer.
Larry Nemenchek.
There have been overtures.
Yes,
have been
there
made,
have been.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that what that's right? Yeah.
Well, as of Tuesday, it was like they were in talks, and as of maybe this morning, it's been downgraded to, or as of Thursday, Friday, I don't know, downgraded to.
Not gonna
there
happen.
have been overtures,
Right.
which is Hollywood speak for like. All that's standing between us and this is several $1 million.
Yeah, well, and it's kind of upsetting too because I was like, I'm not much of a Trekkie. I know you're really into Star Trek, but like I really like the world, and I understand the world enough to know that like the JJ Star Treks haven't quite gotten it right. The boldly going where no man has gone before aspect is kind of out the window with these with the movies.
Really good action movies.
Yeah, they're great.
But they're not. Star Trek is like an exploration TV show.
So as much as those movies have introduced Star
Yeah.
Trek to a different audience, like they haven't introduced like the old school Star
and-
Trek, and
and-
that's what a Netflix series could do, right?
And Star Trek is a show that does so well as a show. The show covered a lot of diplomacy and thinly veiled allegories for our society.
Well, all good science fiction is politics.
Yeah.
You know,
so I really want to see another Star Trek TV show. Like, it fizzled out with Enterprise, and I don't know if it's because the world was tired of Star Trek on TV at that point, or the Netflix, so much executive meddling just made Enterprise be about nothing in particular. But when the news broke on Tuesday that there were actual talks, or the news broke on Tuesday that there were actual talks, I literally went right to Facebook and I said, Netflix could double my subscription fee if they did this, and I wouldn't care.
so
I would.
$15 whole.
Yeah, 15 whole. Well, yes, that's the thing. I do have $15
I can
left.
spend this.
Still half my gym
get
membership.
triple.
House of Cards is great. Orange is the New Black is great, but like this would be the thing that got me to consider it a premium channel.
Right, and if we could just keep that kind of stuff coming in, and they're sort of addressing the highbrow HBO audience with the House of Cards,
Yes.
and the Orange is the New Black as well is a fancy show.
Yeah,
in a lot of
few more
regards,
of
it
those-
feels like it should be on HBO, so it's servicing a particular crowd. But the sci-fi crowd seems to be underserved. Right?
I don't know if I would pay triple my Netflix for for Netflix to do a lot more Orange is the New Black or House of Cards as content. Like I take those in, I appreciate them, but I don't get pumped for them the way I would get pumped for more Star Trek. But another new Star Trek series, now that we've had a breather from it being on TV.
And the movies have done really well.
And the movies
so
have done
audience
really
is
well.
there.
And I think that it's gotten people hungry again for like, remember when we used to do this every week? Remember when I would count down the minutes until 7 o'clock when the Next Generation was on in syndication, which I did. I would literally
I don't remember counting down the minute, but I can imagine.
I'm sure my mother could attest. I was not a hyperactive child, but I figured out how long it took to like do a lap around the living room, and I figured there were 6 laps around the living room per minute, and I would literally run around them.
Wow.
Starting at about 6:50, I would run around the living room like 30
Well,
times just to count down the time. So
if Netflix does do one, you can just binge watch it. You won't have to worry about laps around the living room to count down. But I mean,
I could probably
hopefully,
use the exercise.
hopefully the overtures or whatever is happening
I
may
really-
be a sign to say that Netflix realizes they need
Yes.
some sci-fi,
This
some
is a
high-budget
personal
sci-fi.
plea to Netflix and Paramount to make
Wait,
those
hang on one second.
overtures.
Let me make sure we get this right.
It's a personal plea to Paramount and Netflix to make sure those overtures pay off, because if you do, I will totally give you $7 extra a month. Maybe even 12.
I will too, just to see the laps around the living room happen.
Okay, Johnny Black from Movie Phone, which I realize that you've been into roundtables, and we've completely not introduced you to anybody. But
It's
this is
okay.
our good friend
I'm no allegiance. You know?
Johnny Black from our good friends
House
at
movie phone.
Yeah. But we're here in the makeup room in the closet because we're going to be talking about Game of Thrones spoilers, and you can't really talk about those in the middle of the office without
That's right. People get
everybody getting
pissed.
mad. So we might accidentally slip up and do a few spoilers for Game of Thrones. So if you're not caught up on Game of Thrones,
Go away.
go away. That feels like it was long enough.
Yeah.
Okay, that was your spoiler warning. Looking forward to this
Very much
weekend.
I mean,
the finale, season finale.
That's right. And we've talked a lot about how we actually will spoil the show a little bit for ourselves.
Yes.
Following episode 8, that fight, the Viper and the Mountain, Red Viper, excuse me. But yeah, we were torn. I mean, that we don't need to get into the ending. But that sucked.
Here's a clearly that's giving away the ending. You say that it sucks, but the thing that, and this is the discussion that we've had, and maybe you guys agree with us, but the thing that we've noticed about watching the show is it's such a frustrating show to watch.
Yeah,
like the biggest trick about this show, and the thing that's amazing about it, and admittedly, like it's a remarkably well made show because I'm so like emotional about it in a lot of ways. They like trick you into feeling sorry for bad guys, and then the people that you love, they just kill.
Yeah, they just totally manipulate you too. It's like different. It's like it's more than just getting invested in the guy. It's like, oh, finally some like
I gotta win.
Yeah.
Skull crush.
And we talked about, we're like, are we even gonna keep watching it?
It's
like,
I've several times throughout the show I've been at like the precipice of just walking away from it.
Yeah.
Like it happened with the Red Wedding. And then it had like even when Joffrey died earlier in the season, I could enjoy it for all of 30 seconds before Cersei was like, it was Tywin. I'm like, right, or it was Tyrion. Yeah. Tyrion's gonna die now because.
And we talk about how good the show is, but I think it's more just getting jerked around.
Yeah, it's such a good show because of how it plays with you. But I've gotten to the point where I just can't handle it week to week. Like I understand what kind of show it is. It's not about justice and it's not about happy endings or tying anything up with little bows. But I just can't handle it anymore. So what I've resorted to is, since you can't catch up on 7 enormous like tomes worth of Song of Ice and Fire books.
Wikipedia.
So I've been on Game of Thrones Wikipedia, like because there's little things like I just have to know, like how this storyline is going to pan out.
I finished. I know half of what happens in the finale.
And there's only certain storylines that I've looked up. Like for the most, there's only 1 or 2 things that I've looked up. Like I looked up what happens with Tyrion's storyline. Yeah. And because I couldn't take.
You wanted to take power into your own hands. Yeah, I get it.
But the reason that I think this is where this is sort of different from other spoilers, and maybe this is just me justifying it to myself and thinking I'm not some kind of weird asshole about it, because the books are out. The books are out and out there, and a lot of people have read them, so there's a lot of people...
Yeah, and people that have read them love the show.
Yeah,
so.
Everybody that's read the books also loves the show, and the show is still a good show.
Exactly.
Having notes. So that's like how I've rationalized looking it up, because I can still... And it's true. Like, and my relationship with the show has changed a little bit, because like I know what's coming up. And then now...
I have to admit, I'm looking forward to the finale. Way, way more. Knowing, like, the small things. And not because it's good or bad, or just, like, having to be able to sit back and enjoy it a little more, you know?
I can, like, relax and watch the show instead of, like, having to deal with this sense of dread for, like, a whole week, you know? So, the show, we've sort of half-spoiled the show for ourselves. And that's just how we've learned to deal with
It's a coping mechanism.
It's a coping mechanism.
Honestly.
It's sort of changed my whole perspective on spoilers in general, particularly on adaptations like this.
Yeah. And I'll admit, it hasn't affected how much I'm into the show.
It's gotten me more into the show. Like, I'm able to like the show now.
So guys, spoil everything for yourself.
It seems that Game of Thrones is good enough. It's spoiler proof, I guess.
It is spoiler proof.
Oh, give me a break. But it's an interesting experience. Like, and I'm almost doing it as an experiment now, kind of.
Yeah. I don't want to know anything about the next season. And I'll admit I don't know everything about this coming episode, but just a couple storylines, and it's refreshing.
And even when I go on the Wikipedia page, like I go on it and I skim and I leave. Like I don't like really get into details or anything.
And has it broken up by books too?
Skim,
and I'll like stop to
stop
make sure
right there.
I can't like have wandering eyes or anything.
I skim for a few key details and I find them and I'm out. And then like that's made the show so much more enjoyable for me. All right, well that's I think all we're gonna do this week for a little pseudo roundtable where I go around the office and I bother people and take them away from their jobs or their lunches in your case. Thank you for dropping lunch. So come back next week when hopefully we'll have an actual roundtable with all of us all in the same room talking about all the things that happen all at once, and I won't have to do this again. Although it was kind of fun.
It was
stealing away to the makeup.
We're plotting.
Click like and subscribe. Come back next time for more movie news on Cinefix Now. See you later. I followed the lens over there. Did that make it creepier, or did I do that right?
I mean,